On World News Tonight this Tuesday, Sonny Bono, entertainer and politician, dies on the ski slopes. Show business and the Congress lose a talent. Scientists tell us that eating fish is even better for you than you thought. But trouble in the oceans, the fish are disappearing. Plus the San Francisco campaign against prostitution. Pick on the man, but make sure he understands.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. For the second time in a week, a widely recognized American figure has died when he was skiing and ran into a tree. Congressman Sonny Bono was first a songwriter in the 1960s and then a popular entertainer. He was serving his second term in Congress when he died late yesterday at a ski resort on the border between California and Nevada. First, we go to Jane Clayson, who has the details of the accident.
Sonny Bono was on a family vacation at the Heavenly Ski Resort when the accident happened. Early yesterday afternoon, the 62-year-old congressman left his wife and two young daughters at the top of the mountain and started down the slope alone. At some point, he veered off into this wooded area, lost control, and slammed into a tree going 20 to 30 miles per hour. Bono died instantly.
His death was caused by massive head injuries due to blunt force trauma.
His wife reported him missing as the lifts were closing for the day, and 2 hours later the ski patrol found his body 25 feet from the groomed trail in an area that was not off limits.
It's very common for skiers to go into that wooded area, go in and out of it. It's not uncommon whatsoever, so it's part of the run, if you will.
Sonny Bono was an advanced skier on an intermediate run, the Orion Trail, and he was familiar with this popular South Lake Tahoe resort, having skied at Heavenly for more than 20 years. No one saw the accident, but conditions on the mountain were clear at the time. Initial autopsy reports indicate Bono was not under the influence of alcohol or any other substance. It just appears this was a horrible accident. Jane Clayson, ABC News, South Lake Tahoe, California.
But with two horrible accidents within a week involving two American personalities, a lot of people have wondered whether skiing is more dangerous than people think. Those of us who ski would say, sure, there's an element of risk, like much of life, but dangerous? No more than anything else. About the same number of people die on America's ski slopes every year, between 30 and 35. 3 times as many people are killed by lightning every year. And in 1995 alone, 800 people died in bicycle accidents and 700 in accidents involving boats. Of the skiers who die, 85% are young men, teenagers, or in their 20s. The same group most likely to die because of reckless driving. As for skiing injuries, they have actually gone down in the last 25 years by about 50%. That is primarily because of better equipment. As for wearing a helmet, many small children and racers certainly do, but the vast majority of skiers do not. Helmet sales, we are told, have gone up since Michael Kennedy was killed. Now back to Sonny Bono. Mr. Bono came to politics late in his life, but he managed to succeed there and make people smile just as he had in his other endeavors, whether on the stage or in front of the camera. Here's ABC's John McKenzie.
By his own admission, Sonny Bono was not the most talented of men or the smartest, but he was smart enough to know what works.
Well, I don't know, but that's true. You got me, baby, I got you.
In 1965, he and his wife Cher catapulted to stardom with this #1 single, I Got You, Babe. He went on to compose and produce 10 gold records.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sonny and Cher.
When their recording career began to fade, Sonny had the savvy to take the act to television.
I'm telling you, I'm going to become a sex symbol. How would you like being married to a sex symbol?
Well, terrific, but I'd miss you now and then.
The Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour became a hit, in large part because of Sonny's ability to make people laugh, usually by laughing at himself.
I'm the defender of the right, and I help the wrong. I'm against the wrong, too. And I stay in the middle. Ready for president, huh?
For Sonny and Cher, the show and the marriage ended in 1974.
The beat goes on.
Sonny went on to open a restaurant in Palm Springs, California. And in 1988, bothered by what he saw as the town's increasing bureaucracy, he ran for mayor. Many thought it was a joke. not Sonny.
What somebody is doesn't mean that's what he has to be all his life.
He won by a wide margin, and 6 years later, he was running again, this time for Congress.
You're winning, right?
Amazingly, he did. This high school dropout was now a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Sonny Bono had once again beaten the odds. But what he wanted most in the end was the respect of his peers in Washington.
The win of my life will be for me to get them to recognize that I can do or contribute as much as the next guy.
John McKenzie, ABC News, New York.
And in the end, this 62-year-old politician did win the respect of colleagues in Washington. Condolences have been pouring in all day from the President, from House Speaker Gingrich, from the Senate. ABC News' Cokie Roberts joins us this evening. Cokie, how did he do on the Hill from beginning to end?
Well, he did arrive with people thinking he was something of a joke, Peter, but then he started to win over his colleagues by using that same self-deprecating humor that we just heard in John McKenzie's piece. He would poke fun at himself, he'd poke fun at the institution of Congress. In the middle of a heated argument, he would make everybody sit back and laugh and take a second look. And that was a very useful role and a very unusual role for someone to play without a huge inflated ego in Congress.
And as for things he cared about?
He cared deeply about the environment, he cared deeply about drugs, and he was a big protector of Indians coming from that Palm Springs area and working on those issues. He also worked very hard to raise money for his colleagues in Congress, and they wanted him in their districts to do that, and that's always a leadership path in Congress, so he was on his way up.
Cokie, thanks very much. Cokie Roberts on Sonny Bono. A loss to Congress, as we said, and to entertainment. When we come back, we'll have some of the day's other news. The world's oceans in serious danger. Scientists say we need to act now. President Clinton lays out his latest plan to provide affordable health care to more Americans. And finding your way around Baghdad. Just follow this man.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Charles Schwab.
Sure, I'd like to be financially prepared for whatever might be coming down the road. But I'd also like to be prepared to build a house someday. Right here.
Schwab's Mutual Fund One Source gives you access to hundreds of no-load funds. And our valuable tools can help you build your portfolio. Call now for our free select list.
Because anything you can dream of doing later, you can begin planning now.
What laxative do I use to relieve constipation? To get back to normal, I get back to nature with Nature's Remedy, the laxative with gentle, all-natural active ingredients that work overnight. For constipation, try Nature's gentle laxative, Nature's Remedy.
I have switched to new Polygrip Ultra Fresh. I haven't seen any of the adhesive that controls denture odor. New Polygrip Ultra Fresh gives me a very strong grip, and Polygrip Ultra Fresh works for me. So I'm really excited about it.
What, you're not eating oatmeal?
This is oatmeal.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's toasted oatmeal, all right?
You're putting the oatmeal in the toaster?
I don't toast the oatmeal. Quaker toasts the oatmeal. Quaker toasted oatmeal.
Delicious oatmeal flakes with crunchy oatmeal clusters. It's your other oatmeal.
When heartburn and pain get you, don't get any of these for complete relief. Problems this bad need Alka-Seltzer, the only one with effervescent power to speed relief, plus medicines for all your symptoms. The 100% solution, Alka-Seltzer.
On the health report tonight, heart attacks and fish. In the Journal of the American Medical Association, they published the evidence today that eating fish can indeed reduce the risk of a heart attack, but quite dramatically. Moreover, it does not take a lot of fish. Here's ABC's George Strait.
Researchers were surprised to discover that fish, any fish, eaten only once a week, can cut a person's risk of dying from a sudden heart attack by 50%. That's right, 50%.
If eating fish is indeed causal and it can prevent sudden cardiac death, then the public health impact could be quite large.
Some say the impact could be staggering. Last year, 250,000 Americans died suddenly from heart attacks. Half had no previous history and died before they got to the hospital. No one is sure how fish protects against heart attack deaths, But preliminary studies show fish prevents fatal changes in heart rhythms that occur in most heart attacks. And any fish will do, but scientists say fish with darker meats like salmon and tuna might be better because they contain a beneficial substance called omega-3 fatty acid. Researchers say eating fish once a week now joins daily doses of aspirin and vitamin E as cheap and easy ways for everyone to protect themselves against the nation's #1 killer. George Strait, ABC News, Washington.
None of this is any good if you don't save the fish. In Washington today, a group of scientists sounded a very loud alarm aimed at drawing attention to the various issues threatening the world's oceans. The problems have led the United Nations to now declare 1998 the International Year of the Oceans. ABC's Barry Sarafin tonight on why the scientists are so concerned.
The oceans were once thought to be too vast to suffer serious harm, but not any longer. Today, 1,600 scientists from 65 countries have signed a declaration warning that the Earth's oceans are in peril.
The sea is in real trouble, much worse trouble than we had previously thought.
Among the signs, diseased and dying coral reefs in more than 90 countries. In South Africa, 2 million pounds of crayfish killed by algal blooms called red tides. In this country, more than 1 billion fish killed in recent years by a toxic organism known as Pfiesteria. In California, the virtual extinction of white abalone. And in New England, the collapse of cod because of overfishing.
We take too much from the sea and we put too much into the sea.
We are putting in, say scientists, too many animal wastes, pesticides, fertilizers, and other pollutants. The scientists want a White House conference on the seas, more maritime sanctuaries, and tougher laws on clean water and endangered species. And they say government and the public must act now to prevent irreversible damage to the Earth's largest ecosystem. Barry Sarafin, ABC News, Washington.
The debate about cloning is about to get a lot hotter. A physicist in Chicago has told National Public Radio that he plans to open a human clone clinic in the Chicago area, and he says he will be ready to begin cloning a human being within the next 90 days. Richard Seat has told NPR science correspondent that he plans to offer infertile couples the chance to clone themselves to produce a child. We learn more about the technology when they clone the sheep dolly, but cloning humans is a much different issue. As of now, government and most ethicists are very much opposed, and Dr. Seed will likely face enormous opposition, and acknowledges he may be forced to work outside the United States, and there's bound to be more on this tomorrow. In just a moment this evening, details on a new safety net for hundreds of thousands of Americans who do not have insurance.
Buttery new Brummelin' Brown. The creamy taste of butter blended with the goodness of yogurt. Taste a bunch like butter on broccoli with less fat. Brummelin' Brown, bliss on bagels, bold and baked potatoes. New Brummelin' Brown, taste buttery on beans. And baked in butternut squash, Bravo on banana bread, a bit on buckwheat, is boss.
New Brummelin' Brown, the creamy taste of butter blended with the wholesome goodness of yogurt.
Must be new Brummelin' Brown, yeah.
Relief can't come fast enough when you have diarrhea.
We have a problem. We have a delay. We're gonna miss our window.
We're gonna need some Imodium AD.
You need something faster.
Faster?
Faster.
Introducing Imodium Advanced with a new formula that adds a second medicine for more complete relief that's even faster than Imodium AD. Nothing works like new Imodium Advanced. Faster relief you can count on.
Mother, the war between the generals is over, but the war for human healing rages on.
Through 8 decades, the women doctors of the American Medical Women's Association have worked for the health of all people, wherever the need. Now, out of concern for your health, they've granted their acceptance to supplements for the very first time. These from Nature Made.
When I look into the faces of those we help, I know it is right for us to do this work.
Nature Made is intensely proud to bring you the first supplements to earn the acceptance of the AMWA. Nature Made, trusted by the ones you trust.
Tonight on Nightline, he couldn't sing, he wasn't especially funny, he didn't claim to know much about politics. But somehow he succeeded at everything he tried. The odd journey of Sonny Bono on Nightline, followed by Politically Incorrect.
Well, with Congress not in session, President Clinton has the Washington stage to himself, and he is using it to showcase a string of new proposals. Today, Medicare. Mr. Clinton says he wants to open it up for the first time to people younger than 65, and he wants to offer insurance help to workers who lose their jobs. ABC's John Donovan is at the White House.
Mr. Clinton made it sound like something for nothing, at no cost to taxpayers, a way to bring hundreds of thousands of uninsured Americans into the Medicare system.
This is an entirely new way of adapting a program that has worked in the past to the needs of the future.
That it may be, but there are catches. The key idea is this. Uninsured Americans still too young to get into Medicare could buy their way in using their own money, about $300 to $400 a month. The proposal targets Americans over 55 who have lost their employer-provided health insurance and those between 62 and 64 who can't get private insurance because of cost or pre-existing medical problems. Ruth Kane, at 64, is in that second group. Well enough to take part in today's announcement, last year she hesitated to seek treatment for a heart problem that no insurance company would cover.
I didn't want to go because I didn't want to incur more doctor bills. And I didn't want to have to sell the farm, so to speak.
In the end, she went and paid $14,000 in hospital bills. Under the president's proposal, people like Ruth Kane could instead spend roughly $5,000 a year and be covered for everything. But one important catch, a lot of people can't afford $5,000. Another catch, Medicare is projected to go broke unless it's scaled back.
If your mother is on the Titanic and the Titanic is sinking, the last thing on earth you want to be preoccupied with is getting more passengers on the Titanic.
But White House aides insist this proposal, while enlarging Medicare, would not increase its cost. That would be a rare thing indeed for a government program. John Donovan, ABC News at the White House.
And just before we leave the property, it was bound to happen. A run-in between Buddy and Socks at the White House today. Yes, that is the Commander-in-Chief giving orders for Buddy to stop barking. During his vacation, you may recall, the president said that getting the two together was going to be his first project when he got back. Socks, who certainly has squatter's rights to the South Lawn, not only got his back up, but he kept it up. You can't hear it very well, but as he walked away, the president said, "We're making progress." We'll take his word for it. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials lost more than 72 points to close at 79.06. On the NASDAQ market, stocks lost just under 14 points. By the way, Apple Computer was the company to surprise the analysts today after being left for dead not all that long ago. Today, Apple announced a quarterly profit of $45 million. Apple stock up 19%. And we'll be right back to tell you why one large city is teaching a class on prostitution.
Life's an adventure because you're over 50 and still exploring. So take the Centrum made just for you, Centrum Silver, with age-essential nutrients specially adjusted to keep pace with your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver, it's a great time to be silver.
Fibercon or Metamucil, both have fiber for regularity. But I like Fibercon better.
Same natural action of fiber, but only Fibercon contains calcium.
And with Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets.
Fibercon, fiber and calcium in a convenient caplet.
What causes denture odor? Get close and you'll see. Germs. Efferdent Plus with Fresh Burst Listerine ingredients. It kills odor-causing germs. So you can get this close. Minty Efferdent Plus. Kill the germs, kill the odor.
I work for a dermatologist, so I see what people go through with psoriasis and eczema. That's why I'm excited about the latest therapy from Cordaid. Cordaid Intensive Therapy. In preference tests, it was chosen over Cortisone 10. Cordaid Intensive Therapy has the most powerful medicine you can buy to stop the itch and help you heal quickly. Plus 7 soothing skin moisturizers. And there's no brand doctors recommend more than Cordaid. Cordaid Intensive Therapy. Today's preferred therapy for psoriasis and eczema.
I use a shampoo every day, but my scalp still itches like crazy.
You need Scalpicin. It's made especially for deep scalp itch, the itch you can't wash away. Scalpicin is not a shampoo. It's a clear liquid you don't wash out like shampoo. Use Scalpicin anytime for deep scalp itch relief. With medication not found in the leading shampoos, Scalpicin gets to the root of the itch, starts working instantly.
The itch is gone.
Scalpicin, the scalp medication for deep scalp itch.
Nobody does it like you.
A revolving brush or 5 rotating brushes, a manual hand tool or one powered with 2 more brushes. The choice is easy.
Nobody
SteamVac Ultra.
does it like you.
And now the social and the economic cost of prostitution. Like some other cities, San Francisco is fighting the problem by targeting men who pay for sex. But instead of just teaching them a tough lesson in court, the men are also getting a lesson in life. Here's ABC's James Walker.
Whether you call them prostitutes or call girls, in San Francisco, the fight against street prostitution has moved beyond just arresting the hookers. And it's moved beyond the stings where cops pose as hookers to arrest the Johns.
That's female police officers.
I know. Police found that running these undercover operations by themselves did little good. They're very expensive, and besides that, the court system would administer a slap on the wrist or even less. So they developed an innovative program that teaches the Johns the hard facts about prostitution.
Right now you're under arrest for soliciting for prostitution, okay?
But this first-time offender has an out. If he agrees to attend a unique program, he can keep his record clean.
One of the benefits of this is, one, you don't have to hire an attorney, you don't have to go to court. That ticket will become null and void if you opt to go to the first offenders program.
Norma Hotelling, a former prostitute, helped create the program.
We've never addressed the men's involvement in prostitution. We keep that secret. We keep it silent, as if there's not even another party involved. Maybe if you don't have a demand, you won't have prostitution.
I'm going to be talking on sexual addiction and...
For 8 hours, the men are bombarded with facts.
Hepatitis B and A.
How sexually transmitted diseases can destroy the health of wives and girlfriends.
It increases their chances of getting HIV.
How prostitution destroys neighborhoods. How it hurts the innocent.
We have on tape a young lady telling another prostitute how she turned a trick and 20 minutes later delivered a child. Now, is there a victim there? Yes, there is.
To top it off, a district attorney issues a warning about a second offense.
You know what? The last place you want to meet me is in any one of these courtrooms, because I will take you to the max.
The men must pay $500 apiece. That pays for the speakers and for programs to help rehabilitate prostitutes.
This paper explains the first offenders program. Okay,
Has it worked? The police say yes.
The assaults, the thefts, the narcotics, the rapes, the robberies have all gone down in this area. People are able to walk at nighttime without getting accosted.
1,300 men have gone through the program in the last 2 years. Only 4 have been arrested a second time. James Walker, ABC News, San Francisco.
Now, as to what's happening in the rest of the world has begun to react more strenuously to the violence in Algeria. There are reports today of 5 more incidents of mass murder, 370 Algerian villagers this time with their throats slit or burned alive. The United States has now called for the United Nations to investigate. Today, the Algerian army distributed rifles to some villages where massacres have already occurred. Since the Muslim month of Ramadan began a week ago, more than 1,000 people have died. Most have been killed by terrorists who say they are fighting for an Islamic government. In Russia today, balloonist Steve Fossett returned to the muddy field where his quest to circle the world ended yesterday. He was met by farmers, some of whom thought his balloon was a UFO when it landed yesterday. And in New Mexico, Dick Rutan and Dave Melton have postponed their attempt to balloon around the world because of unfavorable wind conditions over the Atlantic. Just ahead, the face that is everywhere, at least in one country.
This year, I'm gonna walk a mile every day.
Why not make a resolution that's easy to keep? Kellogg's Complete Bran Flakes. High fiber, low fat. It's an easy start to a healthier new year.
Why all these laxatives?
Why not?
They have ingredients that may cause cramps.
Says who?
Says on the label. Phillips is the only one that doesn't. Don't you know nothing's better?
He knows now.
Phillips Effective Relief without harsh ingredients.
You paid your dues, now break away.
nimble DeVille with the North Star system.
Yeah, that's so good, 'cause now you're willing to make
DeVille, for the time of your life.
Temporary relief isn't enough when the problem's here, and here. Now long-term help is here. Glucosamine chondroitin from Sundown helps your body repair and rebuild cartilage. Repair, rebuild, renew.
Is vaginal dryness a problem? Now there's Vagisil Intimate Moisturizer. It's like bringing back your own natural moisture. Just a few clear drops replace your body's moisture. Smooth as liquid silk, never greasy. Vagisil Intimate Moisturizer.
Finally from us this evening, the ubiquitous leader. In Iraq today, it was Army Day. Saddam Hussein delivered a televised address for the occasion. There was none of the usual criticism of the United States. If any Iraqis managed to miss Mr. Hussein on television today, they almost certainly saw him somewhere else. ABC's Mort Dean reports from Baghdad.
Hisham is one of Baghdad's busiest painters, not just because he's an accomplished artist, but because of his mastery of a specific subject matter, Saddam Hussein. With the state as Iraq's principal patron of the arts, portraits of the president are still in great demand, despite the shortage of quality imported paints caused by UN economic sanctions. Hisham says the work is never less than inspirational. He says it is a strong face and a beautiful face. And that face is everywhere. Baghdad, the capital of a country with a prideful history of artistic achievement, is also one huge Saddam Hussein art gallery. Portraits from the school of Iraqi modern impressionism. Portraits of a president for all seasons. Outside the Justice Ministry, Saddam in judicial robes. Outside the phone company, Saddam on the phone. A stranger to Baghdad can be guided around town by the portraits. How do you get from the Al Rashid Hotel to the Al Mansour Hotel? Go left, pass one Saddam, take a left at the Saddam in the military tunic, beyond the round Saddam, a right, pass a few more, and just beyond the giant portrait on the building, take a left at the Saddam in the blue suit, and there you are. This kind of art makes at least one important statement, and that is that in the daily lives of most Iraqis, Saddam Hussein is everywhere. Morton Dean, ABC News, Baghdad.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget Nightline later. Sonny Bono. I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening. Good night.
Tomorrow, the sweetness of sugar could leave a sour taste after we tell you why you're overpaying your money on ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.
ABC Tonight kicks off 98 with a special group.
And the showdown with Mimi's jealous boyfriend.
Were you looking at my girl?